United Launch Alliance checked one of two very important boxes back in January when it launched the first of its new Vulcan rockets. That mission was dubbed Certification 1, or Cert 1 for short. ULA is validating the rocket to support national security missions on behalf of government agencies like the U.S. Space Force and the National Reconnaissance Office. ULA President and CEO Tory Bruno marked the success when he spoke with Spaceflight Now about the mission earlier this year.
That's not usually how a first flight goes. One of two things usually happen. Either you have a failure, God forbid, or you have some set of major anomalies, and you plan your program often for about a year of design spins to clean all that up, and then you're ready to really be flying missions about a year after the first launch. We didn't have any of that. This was the cleanest first flight I've ever seen. I've personally been involved in about 36 of them. It was absolutely amazing.
Since then, he and ULA have been busy working to check that second box. That, of course, is Cert 2. The stated goal of that mission was to launch Sierra Space's Dream Chaser spaceplane on a cargo resupply mission to the International Space Station. As the title of this video suggests, that's where the news comes in. The Vulcan Cert 2 mission will no longer have Dream Chaser as its payload, so let's talk about why that is, what will be the payload on Cert 2, and where both Sierra Space and ULA go from here. On June 26th, Bruno spent more than an hour answering reporter questions about the Vulcan Cert 2 mission. He said spacecraft testing has been going well, including the vacuum chamber testing earlier this year in Ohio. However, the launch timeline needs for the Cert 2 mission proved to be too tall a task.
We have been informed by Sierra Space that they feel they have significant risk towards making the flight date. Mid-year flight date was what we have shared in the past for our Cert 2 mission, and have told us that they will step aside in order to support our critical national security space missions that come afterwards.
Dream Chaser arrived in Florida back in late May. It's currently at the Space Systems Processing Facility at NASA's Kennedy Space Center to undergo some additional work and final processing. In a statement to Spaceflight Now, a Sierra Space spokesperson said, "We continue to make excellent progress on Dream Chaser, and the spaceplane is on track to fly by the end of 2024. As a defense tech prime, we understand how important ULA's Cert 2 mission is to the criticality of national security and our launch partner's schedule. We are working closely with ULA to identify the next available launch date."
Timing is everything. We waited as long as possible on Dream Chaser because we really wanted to fly them. It's a very exciting mission. I've been working with them for a really long time. I was in the trenches with them when this program was first starting to make sure it got funded and could get through challenges that they had. So I really wanted to fly them, and so we waited as long as really we could. And I actually waited on Tom until Tom came for. He volunteered, Tom Weiss, that he felt he was putting a little too much schedule risk against my needs, which he knew all about because we worked this as a partnership.
On Monday, June 24th, ULA unloaded the Centaur 5 upper stage of their second Vulcan rocket in Florida. They also offloaded the booster for the Cert 2 mission to prepare for launch at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. During his media roundtable, Bruno said they will replace Dream Chaser with an inert payload that he referred to as a mass simulator. He said ULA built one as a backup for Astrobotic's Peregrine lunar lander in the event that it wasn't ready in time for the Cert 1 mission.
We'll add to that some experiments and demonstrations that are relevant to technology development for future insertion into our Centaur 5 upper stage. So it'll be a little bit different than it would have likely been had we needed to fly that as a backup to Peregrine. And then we'll also conduct some maneuvers post the basic mission just to help us better understand the full capabilities of the Centaur 5 and to measure some of its attributes. It will then go to a disposal orbit, to the designated junkyard. For those of you that are more expert in this sort of thing, it's what we call an ODMSP compliant disposal orbit.
Bruno says that the CERT-2 mission will fly in early September after they launch a national security mission on board an Atlas V rocket. Bruno was asked why ULA isn't flying another customer mission on board Vulcan CERT-2 instead of the mass simulator. He said some of the customer options had a very narrow window of opportunity that just didn't fit into a readjusted timeline. As for ULA's main commercial customer with the most booked flights, that being Amazon and its Project Kuiper satellite internet mega constellation, Bruno said logistics got in the way of that one.
Now, in terms of Amazon, their first missions have always been planned to be Atlas. And that's a different configuration and a different dispenser than Vulcan. And so they were never probably really going to be, set up to jump from an Atlas to a Vulcan in an unplanned way.
On Thursday, June 27th, Amazon released a blog post stating, quote, "We expect to ship our first completed production satellites this summer, and we're targeting our first full-scale Kuiper mission for Q4 aboard an Atlas V rocket from ULA. We will continue to increase our rates of satellite production and deployment heading into 2025, and we remain on track to begin offering service to customers next year." ULA is footing the whole bill for the new CERT-2 mission, which will see Vulcan launch with 2 solid rocket boosters from Northrop Grumman, as it did with the CERT-1 launch. Bruno confirmed that CERT-2 will also be a mission heading to low Earth orbit. And, without going into great detail, he said they will perform some maneuvers on the Centaur 5 upper stage to gather more data about the vehicle as well.
It's testing the Delta V and endurance capability of the Centaur 5, as well as some of its ability to do attitude control, because part of thermal management of cryogenics involves how you handle the upper stage when it's coasting, its orientation relative to the sun, its ability to control where the heat is coming in, that sort of thing. I don't want to get too technical on you, but it'll be like that, and that'll help us understand better just really the limits of its performance.
During the media roundtable, Bruno also addressed an Air Force letter sent to ULA's joint owners, Boeing and Lockheed Martin, which was first reported on by the Washington Post. The letter, sent back in May, expressed concern about Vulcan development and recommended a 90-day independent review. That's something that Bruno said he intended to do anyway, regardless of the letter.
It's not really meant to be an audit where you come in and you score it. Oh, they're getting a C on being on time, or they're getting a B+. It's really meant to come in and help you. And so they'll come in and say, geez, I think that you need to pay more attention to this, or I know about a technique or a tool or a process that would help you and give you even more confidence. And so that's the sort of thing they're doing for us. So they've done that. Their next engagement will be more focused on the launch site. And then from there, they make their own decision about what they want to spend the next increment of time on to drill down even deeper.
In addition to the CERT-2 mission, ULA is also targeting 2 more Vulcan launches this year, USSF-106 and USSF-87.
They look like they're in very good condition, especially the earlier of the pair, in terms of its spacecraft being built and tested and all of that, and into its integration cycle. So at the moment, we're quite confident that the payloads will be there. The rockets are going to be there.
Bruno added that all the Blue Origin-built BE-4 engines for these next 3 Vulcan missions have already been delivered to ULA. He says they're aiming to launch 20 missions next year, with half being Atlas V and the other half being Vulcan rockets. And with the Atlas launch pad at Vandenberg Space Force Base being converted to Vulcan only, and a new transport barge called Spaceship set to debut in 2026, Bruno says Vulcan is well positioned to help address what he describes as, quote, a global shortage of lift.
With the exit of all of the Russian launch vehicles and the introduction of proliferated LEO constellations to provide internet in space, as well as other national security applications, there is now, and for really the first time ever, considerably more demand for lift than there is supply. Or no one would be helping me make sure I get my launch rate up, because they wouldn't need it. They do need it. And therefore, there's going to be really plenty of launches for everybody. And the fact that we are introducing new vehicles and new providers is good for the United States.
Reporting for Spaceflight Now, I'm Will Robinson Smith.